Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Jackman Groups LLC Pause Break 30. Thank you for joining us on this day. We're streaming again live on Facebook as well as YouTube. And if you're joining us, do me a huge favor. Continue to share with others. Let them know that we are on live. And we also want to hear from you today. So just drop us a line. Drop us in terms of the comments field. Drop us some comments so that we can get going here and make this as interactive as possible. Let me thank you for being with us for the last, I think we started this back in end of March, early April, and it's been great feedback. So thank you for that. Just continue to watch us. If you are viewing us on replay, also like the broadcast and leave us some comments as to how we can improve any topics that you'd like us to cover in the coming weeks. In the coming weeks, we're going to kind of make a shift a little bit where you'll see a rebranding of the program, and we'll focus, our focus will be a little bit different, but we'll give you some more information next week and in the coming weeks. Tonight, we are going to continue with our series, which is Leading in the Time of Crisis. And this is part 2. Our special guest for this evening is Janice Holland. And Janice is the Associate Director of Equity and Inclusion at the University of Rochester. And tonight our conversation is going to focus around serving others as leaders. How do we serve others as leaders? We want to hear from you. So just go ahead and send us some comments so that Janice can answer any questions that you may have, or I can answer any questions that you may have. So go ahead and hit us up in the comments field so that we can get some responses to you. So I'm going to bring Janice in now, and we're going to start this thing. Hey, Janice.
Hey, Patrick.
How are you today?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Before we get started, as we start in all of our conversations, Janice, let me thank you for taking the time to spend with us. I know we spoke briefly over the last couple of days. So just thank you. Thank you very much for taking this half an hour. Let's start by asking you, as how we ask every other guest, tell us something, give us a summary about you and your role as the Associate Director of Equity and Inclusion at the University of Rochester.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you so much, Patrick. Well, I have to start by saying my number one role, and the role I'm most proud of, is being a mom and a grandmother of 3.5. So I have a new grandbaby on the way. So that's the most important role. My role at the University of Rochester is one that is ever evolving, and especially in our current times. But I am really responsible for overseeing the processes and practices dealing with human capital around equity and inclusion efforts, as well as the affirmative action responsibilities for the entire organization. I also hold the responsibilities of bridging the gap between the University of Rochester and the city of Rochester. That is also a very important aspect to me. Because we sit right in the heart of the community, and it's important that we have a relationship with the community. And I also oversee a high school pipeline program, which is my baby and has been my baby for 13 years, called the Healthcare Technology Youth Apprenticeship Program. And I'm so proud of that program and what those youth have done to make a footprint in this world today.
Awesome. Good. And I've seen some pictures that you've posted of your group over the years. So congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Now, how many years have you been with the University of Rochester?
In June, it will be 20 years that I have with the university.
20 years. Wow.
Yes.
And how many years in your current role?
13.
13. Yeah. That's a long time.
Altogether, my role continued to evolve, and I'm in the process of a shift as well. So more to come.
Okay. Well, that's where we are now, shifting around, right?
Yes.
So how has COVID-19 and the whole pandemic impacted you and the members of your team?
Oh, wow. it's been a revealing one, Patrick. I think as a leader that is responsible for human capital as well as the processes that affect human capital, it's one that has made me step back and reevaluate myself as a leader. Really understanding how people handle crises doesn't mean that they really don't want to show up and do what they're supposed to do. But I really had to kind of get out of my own way and recognize that this is not business as usual. So for me, I began to look at how individuals are responding, and then how can I pull the strength out of their response to still get done what we need to get done during this time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really a tap into who the individuals are as a person. Sometimes as a leader, we can be very just black or white or focused, but this requires us to move outside of our own comfort zone, to really pay attention to the most important asset in this organization, and that is people.
Right. Good. Yeah. Good. So, as I said, we are talking to Janice Holland, and today's topic, as we move into our second part of the series, leading in a time of crisis. But our conversation today is going to be around the area of serving others. And Janice, on Saturday, I think we started this conversation. I posted on my personal page a simple message: serving others, there's no greater privilege. And you responded probably instantly. Let's talk about what your response was first and foremost, and then we'll talk about why did you respond the way that you did. So bring our audience up to speed on what your response was, because I found it was just like immediately.
Well, I really wanted to know, how do you understand when a person who considers themselves a servant to others, but yet their actions show differently? And I was really trying to come from a non-judgmental place and just evaluating some of the life cycles over the past few months that, I've been faced to deal with.
Okay. All right. So what specifically did you write? And I can bring that up, but
yeah,
what
you can bring it up because I don't remember. Hey, the brain is not right all the time.
Well, I think it was along the lines of how can you tell if someone is coming from an angle of serving others and take it to a deeper level. So that was the gist of your response.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because we loosely throw around the term servant leadership, right?
Right.
And trust me, this is a charge to myself, so it's to no one else. But we loosely throw that term around until we're challenged to then shift gears. And I say shift gears. COVID-19 forced gears to shift. And oftentimes, new leadership comes into play. We then have to respond to the needs of those new leaders, or a new style of leadership that comes into play. And what happens when that begins to challenge your very being? What happens when that begins to challenge what you consider your leadership style? What happens in that moment? And I often wonder, do we actually take the moment to recognize that our leadership or inability to lead have just become challenged? And it requires us as leaders, again, to do a self-examination. Who are you in the moment, in the moments of uncertainty? Who are you in the moments when your leadership becomes challenged?
That's good.
So if you're called to serve others, what happens when that becomes challenging for you?
Okay, good. So as a leader, Janice, especially during this time of crisis, tell us why the concept of servant leadership or serving others, and I think you started down this road, why is it so important?
Well, serving others has always been important to me. I'm the girl in the back, right? and I'm the girl in the back because that's where I prefer to be. But it resonates because servant leadership for me came from the greatest servant of all in my life is Jesus Christ, right? But then I had to begin to challenge myself to say, what did that really mean? What were the characteristics that aligned with being a servant leader? I guess for me, I had to really look at what would I be willing to give up to feel accomplished as a servant leader. I'm still searching. I don't have the full response, but what I have recognized is that we have taken that term and we've used it very loosely in corporate America, in our homes, and we've used it in a way to where it is actually doing us of no avail to others. And so we're in a crisis where we really don't know what tomorrow's going to look like in the workplace. How do you respond to those you're responsible for? Because they're still humans. They're still people. How do you become that servant and being a servant leader, recognizing that the first shall be last? How do you do that? So that's where I'm at in this journey of transition during this crisis as a leader and a new leader getting ready to propel into a different role.
Okay.
So I'm just doing a lot of self-evaluation.
Now that's good. That's good. It comes a point where we all have to look inside of ourselves, especially during this time, and as leaders, and say, well, am I doing the right job? Can I do more? How are my team members doing? How's my team doing? Have I checked in with them? Am I putting myself above them, which some leaders do? But am I having them take the lead, or I'm focusing in on their care as opposed to my care? Is it them or is it me? Right. So that's our topic here, is serving others, and how do we serve others as leaders more effectively? And I have Janice Holland, and Janice is the Associate Director of Equity and Inclusion at the University of Rochester. And we are talking about continuing our series, Leading in a Time of Crisis. But our specific topic tonight is serving others. How do we as leaders serve others during this time of COVID-19? If you have any questions or comments for us, please hit the comments button. Just drop a comment. If you have any questions for Janice or myself, hit us up in the comments field and we will get those to you. Janice, here's another one for you. What suggestions can you give to our leaders or potential leaders about serving others?
I think the first thing is to take the time to submit. Even though you consider yourself a leader, you may carry the title as a leader, you may carry the largest title within the organization. But even in that, their submission is a requirement. Also, I find it interesting that leaders sometimes don't take the time to self-evaluate and do self-care. So then, unfortunately, those who you are responsible for sometimes take the blunt of that. So we have to always be mindful as a leader that you take the time to evaluate the surroundings, what's going on with your team, what's going on with the organization, because we still have a job to do. I am at no point saying we need to not focus on what needs to be done, but we do need to focus on the importance of the human capital that has to get it done. And I think at this point, and in this time of crisis, this time of uncertainty, we as leaders have to show up even more. We have to be more cognizant of sharing information, what we can share, but also at the same time being compassionate to understand that people's lifestyles at home have changed. We have brand new stay-at-home, work-at-home moms, work-at-home dads, and everybody's trying to figure this out in this world of uncertainty. So as a leader, I ask you to take time to submit. And by submit, I mean, hear your people. Yeah. You may be doing something wrong. And sometimes we don't want to hear that.
That's good. That's good. I'm going to bring some comments up here, Janice. And this is from Alpha Jackman. He's my uncle, my youngest uncle. Shout out to him in the beautiful island of Barbados and his
Oh, yes.
family. And he says some people are so set in their ways that they don't want to see, that they don't see they need to change. What do you think on that one?
I think that is our biggest problem with leadership today. Some of us have really, and it's not taken away from your competencies as a leader, but there are also competencies in leadership that require you to be able to work with people. So your interpersonal skills may need a lot of revamping. And when you get that set in your ways, you may want to consider relinquishing the seat, because you do begin to leave dead bodies behind.
It's good. Thank you. Let's see here. I'm going to bring another one up, and this is a plug for you, Janice. This is from Prophetess Tawana Bryant. She says, Janice is a true servant leader and serves wholeheartedly in all she does.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
One of your many fans, Janice.
Yeah, oh, she's an awesome teacher. Another one who gives wholeheartedly, right? So it's important to also surround yourself with people who will be honest with you if you really want to grow, not the ones who want to just sit and praise you. You know, growth requires correction, and if correction requires humility.
Sure. Okay, good. Good. Let's see. We have Prophetess Tawana also says, she asks, what are some ways to self-evaluate?
Oh my goodness, feedback, honey, from people like her. Those individuals who I like to ask the honest question, you know, what can I do better to help you? You have to keep, there's a woman that I'm going to reference. Her name is Jackie Lee. I've had the pleasure to really get into a relationship with her more recently. And she expressed the importance of having that friendship where in business, and our relationship is a business relationship, where we can give that honest feedback. And we were at an event for the university, and something took place, and she pulled me aside. She said, "Oh no, we don't do that." You know, and it just comes to a place of humbling yourself to receive that kind of love and that harsh criticism without you then, you know, evaluating that person like, who do they think they are? No, I need to hear from the people.
Yeah.
And so self-evaluation starts with receiving the feedback and receiving it with a whole heart. You know, let's don't get an attitude. Receive what part you need to receive, and if you have to leave something, then you leave something.
Is it ego driven that we don't want to receive feedback?
I believe so.
Okay.
And some of us take our years of experience and our worldly credentials, and they take that almost to a place where they're untouchable. And I've seen it where they can't receive, especially from someone who may not have the credentials they have, or is not perceived to be in certain circles. You know, the word of the Lord says, I'll take the foolish things and conform it to the wise. And so for me, that's where you already know there's a red flag.
Okay.
Because no matter who you are or who you think you are, there's always room for improvement. There's always room to grow. And
I think that's what Alpha is saying here. His comment was, sometimes you need to hear the unspoken.
Yes. 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 Very much so. Yeah.
And that's feedback. Good. Let's see, Janice. We have a couple more for you. Question is, during this time of crisis, what leadership lessons have you learned?
Oh my gosh, that some of us are really operating out of a spirit of fear. And when you do that, unfortunately, you may know or may not realize that you begin to target the people that report to you. And so your behaviors come across. So I'm being very mindful about what I say, how I say things. Again, that mirror reflection constantly. It's a daily dig. And also that leadership is way more than a title and the money you make. Leadership is all about you're willing to submit and sacrifice for the better good of all, not just for you.
That's good. That's good, Janice. And those of you that don't know, this Pause Break 30 is brought to you by the Jackman Group, LLC, and our specialty is leadership development and team building. and that's what we do, coaching and mentoring. So we focus on leadership. We focus on developing leaders and taking them from where they are to where they should be and where they want to be. With that said, Janice, what would you consider as your leadership style?
Well, I'll be honest with you. My style changes depending on the situation. I am never a one style girl. But if I had to consider a dominant trait within the leadership style, I'm the one that wants to see you go beyond what I was able to do. And I'm focusing more on the trait versus the style because my style is so fluid. I kid you not. They have every test that I've taken, they couldn't pinpoint it. So that means I'm a unique brand. But my traits include very submissive to those in authority over me, as long as it's within the realms of policy and guidelines. I'm very much a policy girl.
Got it. Okay.
I do not go outside policy.
I'll have to look at your assessment again and see.
Yeah, I'm a policy girl. If you've ever done True Colors, I am gold.
Okay.
In True Colors. So policy process means a lot to me.
All right. So you would be on the SDI side of things, you would be a green in terms of process and procedures.
Yes, very much. It's the top of my list.
All right. Good. Let's look at the leaders that you look up to. Give us the names of some leaders that you look up to, that you maybe have as a mentor or that you study, and tell us why you chose that particular leader or leaders.
So I'll go for my current right now, because I have different leaders and different mentors and different spheres and sectors in my life, right? Mm-hmm. One of my old leaders back when I first started going back to school, I'm an adult learner, so I obtained all of my degrees as an adult. And it was Josephine Cunningham. She was my manager in the medical center. And she was one that I love to model. She was all about you surpassing her. And so when I said, hey, Josephine, I want to go back to school, I know there's more in me, she just encouraged me. She gave me the room to flex my work schedule, to do those things. That has always stayed with me, and it has always remained a part of my leadership style. And that is to pay it forward, always. The other one is my current leader, Dr. Mercedes Ramirez Fernandez. She is what I call one of the most strategic leaders I have ever encountered. And her art of war is silence. And it is something I'm learning so much from her. But she's steadfast. Her yes is yes and her no is no. That's very important to me. What she says to you is no different what she says to someone else. So her credibility is just one to be admired. And it's hard to find in leadership. Right. It's very hard to find that. My spiritual leaders, a different world. Prophetess Bryant, Apostle Sandra Flowers, Pastor Myra Paris. These are people who have made an imprint in my life and people who have held me accountable to the call of who I am. Patrick Jackman, who we had the pleasure of bringing into the university. And I will say, if you need to get your teams in order and you need to learn what that means, because you cannot lead broken. Right. He does a wonderful job. His team, it's amazing. So I just want to put that out there.
Well, thank you for that plug. We'll take it. We'll take it.
Yes, brought great stuff to the University of Rochester.
Thank you. What is the last leadership book that you've read?
Oh, I continuously read it. My favorite book, it stays with me. It's by Dr. Avis Jones DeWeaver, How Exceptional Black Women Lead. And there's a focus for me for Black women because our challenges are very different in this leadership walk at times. Mm-hmm. And so I reference it weekly, stays by my side.
Okay, good. I have the last one for you, and this is great conversation. Thank you again so much, Janice. This is wonderful. I am enjoying it, and I hope that our viewers are enjoying it equally as much. Like and share, please. Just let your friends know this. This is Pause Break 30. We are going to, if you want to comment, feel free to do that. Drop us a line in the comment box, and we will continue to talk about servant leaders. We have about 3 minutes, Janice, before we wrap it up. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our viewers around the lines of leadership and specifically servant leaders in this time of crisis, or servant of others in this time of crisis?
Again, I would just emphasize, stop for a moment and self-evaluate. You have to be ready to change when change is necessary. And as your uncle said, some people are so stuck in their ways, you will find yourself out of the way. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because we are in a shift. And so you need to be able to shift.
Right. Yeah. Good. Yeah, he also had another comment up there, and we'll probably have to tackle that another time. Maybe that's a show topic. And he says, we talk about the new normal. What would be the new normal in terms of service?
I don't think there's a new normal in service. Service remains service when you're talking about servant leadership. So I would break, service is a very broad term.
Sure.
But for me, I'm talking about servant leadership and what it means to serve. That's not a new normal. The new normal would be people actually being accountable to it. That's what the new normal would be.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's excellent. Janice, if anyone wants to contact you or learn more about Janice, the great administrator.
Oh gosh.
Would you want them? Is there an email address or Facebook page or something, or YouTube channel that you'd like them to go to?
So actually, you can find me right on the University of Rochester's homepage. If you type in my name, my email address and office phone number will come up. On Facebook, I am Ken Jan Holland, because that's my husband and I page together. Or you can just simply email my personal email. I'm open to that as well. And that's Janice, Janice 0211 at msn.com.
Awesome, Janice. Any final words before we end the broadcast?
Nope. Just thank you so much for having me, and be encouraged. This too shall pass. All
right, Janice. Thank you very much again for being our special guest. This was great, and we will continue our conversation down the road. Don't be surprised if we call you back. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Have a good night. Say hi to Ken.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye now. So we've been chatting with Janice Holland. And again, Janice is her official title is Associate Director, Equity and Inclusion at the University of Rochester. You're watching Pause Break 30. We want to thank you once again for tuning in. For our viewers who are watching it live, thank you so very much. And for those that will be watching it on replay, continue to watch, continue to like our channel, or also our Facebook page. And remember to send us comments, any suggestions that you may have in terms of topics. Next week, we'll continue part 3 of Leading in a Time of Crisis. So we love to hear from you. We'd love to hear what you have to say, any comments, or you can email me at info@Jackman, Jackman, Group LLC.com. This is Patrick with the Jackman Group LLC. Thank you once again. And until I bid you good night, safety and good health to you and your family. And remember to continue to social distance. May God continue to bless you and your family. Good night for now. See you next week.